What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I sit down and talk with a repricing expert. We talk through everything repricing, from raising your buy box percentage, through setting mins and maxes, the different algorithms built into a repricer, and why it's just essential to use in your Amazon business. We also talk through some of the features and key differentiators for one of the repricers on the market, Seller Snap. So make sure you stay tuned for today's video. Can't wait to show you. Cool, Agent. So thank you for joining me. I think it's an important way to start the conversation today, just to kind of set the stage in terms of why it's important to reprice. Right? I feel like a lot of folks in the Amazon space think it's the proper method to just kind of set prices and forget it. But obviously in 2024, we have all these powerful repricers to automate a lot of that stuff. So kind of let's get into why it's important to reprice, why it's beneficial, why it increases sales, conversion, profitability, all that sort of stuff, why it's important to reprice.
100%, man. And Garrett, man, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. We're just really excited to be here. And I think there's a lot to uncover with repricing. I think some people think it's an outdated, old conversation, but in actuality, there's a lot of nuance between the different tools out there. And so sort of getting into why repricing is important and the differences between the different tools is, I think, a really good place to start for a lot of sellers that might not have that sort of understanding of the space or understanding of repricing, like maybe someone like me or you might already have. So 100%, I think that, repricing is integral for any seller in sort of the wholesale or the reseller space, because you just can't price or make price adjustments or price optimizations, the optimum price or the optimum speed. So we're talking about automated systems that are making price adjustments every few moments. You got to sleep, you got to eat, you got to go to gym, you got to do all those things. You can't be on your computer for thousands and thousands of listings, making the price changes as regularly as a machine can. And you also aren't able to make the correct price changes in order to make sure you're optimized for winning the buy box and making sure you get that high profit margin. And so those two reasons together are essentially what opens the world up to needing repricing and price optimization solutions.
Right, and I think the point there is, right, every keeper graph within every product is a dynamic environment, right? If you pull up any random keeper chart on any product on Amazon, you're going to look back in the past 30 days, 90 days, 180 days. In that keeper chart, the buy box will go up and down and up and down. And it's volatile markets. And every market operates differently, but some are going to oscillate between 20 and 25. Some are going to oscillate between 18 and 22, right? And so every product operates differently. And that's also kind of a huge point in terms of why we need to start to automate these things. Because the fact of the matter is, when we talk about winning the buy box and maximizing sales, we're doing our business as a disservice to not be equal to that buy box as often as possible. Every second of the day, we need to, as long as obviously in between our pricing and profit credentials and criteria, we're doing ourselves a disservice by not equaling the buy box at all moments.
Yeah, that's it. I think the easiest way to put it is you got to be in it to win it. And dynamic marketplaces are dynamic. And if you're not adjusting price, then there's every chance the market is shifted and you're losing opportunity to make sales. Similarly, there's every chance the market could have shifted and you're stuck at this low price and you're just watching money bleed out of your pockets, potential profits. That's money that can be used as capital for repurchasing. That's, capital for choosing better quality products that have higher sell-through and better profit margins. And you really just don't want to be leaving that on the table. And so, that's it. Choosing a repricer that is optimal for your business is the way to do it.
And I think one of the huge, call it hesitations for people not wanting to reprice is they think instantly as soon as they turn that repricer on, it's going to take their market, it's going to take their profits, and there's going to be no profits left to take out, right? After every sale, it's just going to be zero. But that's not necessarily the case, right? Because how they are built nowadays is they have mins and maxes. And I think it's important to kind of dig into what are those mins and maxes, what's the goal of those mins and maxes, and how can you parlay that into reassurance that your product's going to sell profitably every single time.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of mechanisms that a good repricing tool will have in its portfolio to make sure that you're sort of selling at that optimum price. And one of the good ones is obviously your min and your max range. So, this is what is the minimum I'm willing to sell at. It's not the break-even point necessarily, though it could be. It's the minimum that me as a seller is willing to make on this product, whatever profit margin that is, or ROI that is. And then your good repricing technology will not sit at that minimum price. That's just a protection. That's to say, this is the lowest I want to go. But if you can get me sales at a good velocity above that minimum price, do it. And so you really want to find the right tool that can help you raise those prices, because if you can get that extra few cents, extra dollar out of every sale, as you start to scale, it starts to add up. You know, if you're selling 1,000 units and it's an extra dollar, 2,000 units, extra 30 cents, you know, that's a lot of money at the end of the day. And a good tool won't sit at your minimum price, and a good tool won't just match the buy box. It'll find the optimum price for you in this competitive environment, in this marketplace, and rotate around that price to win you sales.
And kind of going along those lines, a conversation I have with a ton of newer sellers is they just want to set a uniform min and max across their entire catalog and think that's sufficient. And while it is in some cases, you're not necessarily optimizing your business, optimizing your catalog, and optimizing your profits, right? Because the fact of the matter is every product is going to be built differently. Every product is inherently and qualitatively different. Some products, based on the market, based on your buy cost, you're going to demand 20 to 25% margin, while some maybe 15 to 20. And while others, maybe they're faster moving or whatever, maybe, 10 to 12 or 10 to 13% margin, right? And so our products across our entire catalog are going to fall into different buckets. And it's important to realize that all products should not be repriced the same. You should not set the same 10% profit margin minimum across all your different products, because again, that same product that's, the expectation's 20 to 25% margin. Well, if you set a 10% margin minimum, well, now there's a lot more chance that that market's going to take, because all it takes is one other repricer that's undercutting your price by a cent. And guess what happens? $29.99, $28.99, $27, $26, $25, and you're going to battle to the bottom. And it's ultimately a conversation of how low is your minimum, because it's going to keep bringing it to the bottom. And so I do think it's pertinent, while some sellers don't think it's completely necessary to go through one by one and set those mins and maxes are specific to each pricing environment. I think it's hugely critical, because you're going to really maximize the pricing health of your products across your catalog and try and upload the markets that you're part of.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's one of the things there is that it's a bit of a time value of money as well, so you want to make sure you're as optimized as possible where you have control, but you also have a million other things as you're doing. You're looking for wholesalers, for suppliers, you're managing your inventory, maybe you're doing a bit of PPC. There's a million jobs for an Amazon seller, and a repricing solution is meant to automate a lot of these things as well. So, SellerSnap has a tool called Auto Adjust, where you can input a desired profit margin that is sort of your baseline. This is what you're expecting to sell across your products. And then when the fees or costs are input into SellerSnap, maybe that's through an integration with Inventory Labs or SKU Vault, when we get that cost information, we can automatically calculate those min and max prices. And then the optimization occurs, which is when, you get in and go, for 90% of my listings, this was right. But on these few, I'm going to optimize. And it's not just mids and maxes, it's a whole bunch of other tools. With a repricing presets, you can really get in there and change the strategy. Be like, how aggressive do I want to be? Am I trying to liquidate stock? Maybe my inventory is old. It's greater than 90 days. I bought a bad product. It's not selling. And now my IPI score is getting smashed, and my long-term storage fees are going through the roof, and I'm losing all of this money, losing all of this profit. Maybe it's time to liquidate that stock. I want to be really aggressive. And so you want to be able to go into a system, a repricing tool, and set the aggressiveness that is necessary for this specific case. And you're exactly right. You need to be optimizing all the time to do that.
And that's a good transition, because I do want to talk about SellerSnap, because I've been using SellerSnap for probably a little over a year now. It's changed the game. And I do want to kind of highlight some of the aspects that SellerSnap is different, right? That's valuable for a specific niche of sellers. And kind of let's start by diagnosing the seller that SellerSnap is a good fit for, right? Because a lot of people have probably heard of SellerSnap. Maybe people don't realize the power, those sorts of things, or they're scared away by maybe the tad bit of a higher price point than other repricers. But let's kind of dig into what repricers are going to benefit from making that transition to the best of the best.
Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of tools out there in the market, and we always say, it's the right tool for your business at the right time, and there's not necessarily one tool that's right for everyone. I think specifically with SellerSnap, we've always sort of lent into being the tool that sort of finds the optimum price, the optimum profit margin for your specific listing, while taking into account making sure we're still getting inventory through the door and selling through and finding that sort of balance. And I think that a lot of people that come into the space, they're trying to decide how to decide on the right solution or if this repricer is right for them. And I think the best way to sort of do that is to understand, what are my objectives as a seller? Like, what am I trying to do? Am I trying to increase my profit margin? Am I trying to for capital and I'm not too worried about my profit margin or so forth, or whatever it is? And then try out different solutions and try to understand if this is the right solution for you. And so I think, Seller Snap is good for a really broad range of sellers because it gives you that sort of flexibility. And by default, out of the box, we sort of say the repricing solution that doesn't need really heavy manual configuration. And we do that by focusing on sort of what we call a game theory inspired approach. And so out of the box, you're getting, or most people are getting, the desired outcome. And then, like you said, it's just those little tweaks you need to do to make sure that you're optimized. And I think if I was to put it one way, that's sort of it. It is, the repricing solution that doesn't need really heavy manual configuration and helps you grow your business.
Now, would you say there's like a specific revenue amount where sellers are kind of doing themselves a disservice by using an inferior product? Right, because repricing is like in the very basic terms, repricing is repricing in terms of changing your prices on Amazon. Obviously, it's all built differently. Seller Snap's built on a lot of the game theory stuff, and there's a lot more automation and the yo-yo method we'll get into, and all those sorts of things are different and make Seller Snap awesome. But like, at what point would you say, from a revenue perspective, where it's not just about changing price? You need all these other components to really take your business to the next level.
Yeah, it's a good question because there's so many components that go into a technical stack for a seller. What are the tools that I'm using to do my job, whether that be, an AI that helps you write product titles or a PPC tool. Like, it's a lot of money you're spending different places. And some of those tools aren't so easy to equate the outcome. Like, what is the benefit that I'm getting from using this solution? And reprices aren't like that. Why aren't they like that? Because you can sort of see when you enable them, if you see a growth in your profit. One day you're using one solution or you're not using a solution, and then you turn on a repricer. And if you take the cost of that repricer and divide it by the amount of days, you sort of work out what is the additional profit that I need to get from this tool in order to validate having this tool. And so we're talking a few dollars a day. And if you have 5 listings or 100 listings and you can optimize 30 cents increase in your sale price or average sale price on, 10 of those listings, you've already paid yourself off over the month. So I think it's not necessarily what is the demographic of person or what is the revenue that a seller should be making over a 30-day period that indicates whether they should use a specific repricer. You have to come and use it and say, did I see my profit margin grow enough to validate using this tool? And that's just a business decision. And at the end of the day, everyone can understand or should be able to understand using the right analytics. Did my business grow enough in this period of time from using this tool? And if the answer is yes, then it's the right tool for you.
Yeah, awesome. And so when people start to make those switches, what are some of the different aspects that should excite them, right? That are different, that they should expect to be able to use, that are going to enhance those profit margins, right? So let's start with the very essence of how Seller Snap reprices in the game theory you mentioned, right? So is it like integrally any different in terms of repricing Seller Snap versus some of the other competitors?
Yeah, I guess it's a really good question, man. And I think sometimes it can be difficult to understand because there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And all you end up seeing, or you see from the seller side, is a price going up and down. So how do you actually know if there is a benefit here? And how do you differentiate between the qualities of the solution providers? And I want to come back to something you said earlier today, which was about this penny dropping. And I think that this is a really good place to start. So, for many years, repricing solutions, the norm was rule-based. So you would set a price saying, match my buy box price or go 1 cent below. And what ends up happening is you would get in this price war where you would decrease by 1 cent and your competitor would decrease by 1 cent. You went down, 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 down until you're both selling at your minimum price. No one's increased their buy box share and everyone profit margin has been hers. And so what Seller Snap, I think, is really brilliant at doing is we recognize the behaviors of our competitors. It doesn't matter what solution you're doing. We're running competitor analysis all the time. And so what we're looking for is the trends in their behaviors. And so if we, let's say, lower price and a competitor lowers price below us, and then we do that again and they drop below us by a penny, we recognize that behavior and say, hey, wait a second. If every time we lower price, they follow, why don't we raise price because they're going to follow? And so we're looking at the behaviors of our competitors based on our own price changing decisions and then optimizing. And so at the end of the day, you end up winning your fair share of the buy box, but you're doing it at a profit margin that doesn't hurt your bottom line.
Right. That's awesome. And so the cool thing is, right, you don't have to go in and set a different rule based on the different products, right? A Seller Snap is going to do a lot of that heavy lifting for you.
Yeah, 100%. See, that's exactly right. You don't have to do anything, but you have ultimate flexibility to do something. It's your business, and you have different business objectives. Like we said before, maybe you want to liquidate stock because it wasn't a good purchase and inventory is getting too old. It's costing you money. Let's liquidate stock. Okay, great. We're going to turn up that aggressiveness. We're going to say, if we're not getting sales or we're not getting enough buy box share, I want you to be more aggressive and we want to liquidate the stock. But for most products that are performing well, we're just trying to optimize. And that's where our game theory or an AI is really helpful, because it just raises the price to get you that optimum profit margin. And that's what you want to do, is just let it do its thing. And optimize if necessary.
Yeah, that optimize word is huge, right? Because I've talked about this a ton on my channel, is that repricing is not going to necessarily fix a bad buy, but it's going to maximize and squeeze everything possible out of the good ones, right? So this doesn't necessarily create a shortcut for really digging into the analytics of the keeper charts, the historics, and really understanding what's going on in a particular product market. We have to do all those things, but we're just saying at the end of the day, once we do all those things, once we really make a quality purchase, this is going to take it to the next level and really squeeze everything possible out of every single market you have, ultimately kind of raising your bottom dollar.
Yeah, and if you're a retail arbitrage and you found this really good product, but you're not going to replenish, like maybe you want to be more aggressive, and maybe you're a wholesaler and you're just repurchasing. And for those listings, you don't want to tank. You want to be much more conservative. And so you really just have to find a tool that makes sure for your specific business or for this specific product, you have optimized in the right way. And so you want the baseline to be, optimizing the profit so you don't lower price, but you want to be able to turn that up to, 100% and go really aggressive when necessary.
That's a good point also, because I feel like one of the connotations of Seller Snap in the Amazon space is that it's strictly for wholesale sellers, right? It's for wholesale sellers, but what you're saying is that it's not necessarily only for wholesale sellers.
No, definitely not. We have, I would probably split 50-50. We have a lot of retail arbitrage or online arbitrages out there that use the system because of, when you're in this business, you're living on your cash flow. You're living on the amount of money that you can get back to rebuy. Your next purchase is, your next paycheck. And when you're doing that, you really want to make sure that you're getting the profit you deserve from this good fight. You're out there in the streets at a Walmart scanning, and you found this really good system buy. If you let another dude come out onto the listing and undercut you when you chase them to the bottom and you make no margin on this, you've just wasted all of this time. You've sent all of this stuff to Amazon. You've paid all these fees and you haven't got anything out of it, right? And so I think retail arbitrages and online arbitrages really benefit from that ability to maximize profit on these really good finds.
One of the huge things that I noticed right off the bat from switching a while back was that, and I kind of mentioned it before, that one of the repricing presets that you guys have is the yo-yo method. And essentially what it is, obviously you can get into more detail about it, is essentially what it is it's going to raise all of your prices to your max price on an interval set, right? So whether it be every 90 minutes, 180 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever it is, it's going to take your price wherever it is and raise it to your max. And what I noticed, and this is as apparent as possible, as evident as possible, is that I would be getting sales at the max price when I otherwise wouldn't have, right? Because I think what happens is sometimes we're going to be in the buy box and say my price is $41, right? And I win the buy box, I'm making sales at that $41. Seller Snap's going to raise that $41, raise my price to its max. And a lot of times Amazon's going to keep us in the buy box. And then we're going to obviously continue to get sales at that $46 or whatever the market is. And I think that's a really, really powerful thing, because that's dollars every single sale that it's adding to your profits.
Yeah, and not only that, but it also, I guess, gives an opportunity to pull up other...
Yeah, and the entire market, 100%.
Yeah, and so, where this yo-yo thing, which, I think people really love, it's built into our system. What you're referring to here is the option for sellers to indicate how they want the yo-yo to work. They want this interval to occur once every couple of hours, but we built this in. And so we're actually looking for the optimum time to do this, and we do it a few times a day. We look for times where sales are low or where we're not getting as much buy box share or, whatever it is, and we raise that price to the top. And so we try to drag competition up. And so we have this built-in yo-yo or smart yo-yo method. And then sellers could also come in and say, I want to be more aggressive at that. I want to raise the price to the top more often to try bring sellers up or to try win those sales by high price. And they're right, it does happen. And those are those little chunks when you get that extra profit and really grow your business.
Are there any aspects of Seller Snap that we haven't necessarily touched on yet that you think are important for people who are kind of evaluating the marketplace to understand?
Yeah, good question. I think there's a lot of stuff in SellerSnap, and we're always innovating and releasing new features. I think at the moment, one thing I think we can all agree on is that Amazon is hurting everyone's bottom line. Like there's, the inbound placement fees, there's the low inventory level fees. And so you really want to find a solution that takes all of these fees into account when setting your min and your maximum prices, because some of them aren't so transparent. And I think that the tool that we get the most love for when customers onboard is our auto adjust and calculator function, which lets you import your cost, and then we'll calculate based on that percentage that you want for your margin that you desire, what your minimum and maximum price should be, and then make sure we're constantly adjusting that as the fees change. If low inventory level fee is now on a product, we'll raise that price so you still get that margin. And so it's just one of those opportunities where you're investing in a tool and you're actually buying back time in your day and making sure that you're just as profitable. And I think it's, sometimes people think that this is just a, a simple feature, but I think it's the one that gets the most used from vets that come across.
That's awesome. And as we approach the end here, and one of the things that stood out in terms of like the entire transition process for me was just like that efficiency, the ease of which that you switch from one to the other. Because you guys have a cool process where it's like you'll sit down with someone within the SellerSnap team, they'll look in your storefront, they'll kind of walk you through the product, walk and like do a demo, and they'll kind of hold your hand as you start to switch and make sure that A, the product is working as it should, B, it's optimized for your particular storefront and your particular products, and C, you're happy with the results. I think that's a cool part. And it just shows that you guys are there, you care about the results, and one of the repricers that are looking to kind of increase the entire market.
Yeah, I think you have to. We really pride ourselves on being white glove, but how can you have a solution that is core to your business, that makes price changes, like this is life and death for a seller, and then doesn't give you the support or that, sort of a dedicated account management that you need to do business? We can't just leave people on their own devices with a tool they don't understand. And we really believe that it's essential to have that sort of hand holding in those early days. And then as an account management function for the lifetime as a customer to be able to re-optimize and put in that work for you to help you grow your business.
Yeah, awesome. And so what does the free trial look like?
Yeah, so onboarding is simple. You just go to our website, sellersnap.io, and you can create an account straight away. And then we offer a 15-day free trial. So there's no credit card down. You just get in and you start repricing. During that time, the team will reach out and offer you to get on a call to do a demo, to do an optimization, and also to review, to do a comparison and show you how to use our analytics platform to see that you've seen that increase in profit that you need to validate moving across to a new solution.
And that's cool, right? Because at the end of that 15 days, you'll have significant data on both environments, both circumstances, whatever you're using before, if you were using one, which you would see a drastic difference between Repricing and SellerSnap, and you'll be able to kind of compare. And you can go your entire catalog and start to dissect it with a fine-tooth comb, right? What was my buy box for this particular price, and what is it now, right? Because you'll see your ownership within a product go up or down. You'll see tangible results within each product and ultimately, and of course, over your entire catalog. And so at the end of that 15-day period, you'll be able to really make a distinction in terms of if this is something that is working as it should and as anticipated, or if it's not.
That's it. I think that we pull in a bunch of historical data and then you use the tool for 15 days. We filter out all of the noise, and you want to see that, our profit on our profit margin has increased over this time. And if it hasn't, maybe it's not a good decision for your business. But if you can see there's really big growths, especially on key products and key listings, that's the validation that you need. And, good business people will be able to work that out just by reviewing the data.
Yeah, and so I was looking through the dashboard just to make sure we hit on all the points. And one cool thing is that it actually articulates on a product-by-product basis your profit margin or your buy box share within that product. And so it's going to be super apparent, right? Your 5 to 10 heavy hitters, your 5 to 10 products, obviously you're going to want to see your buy box share within those products go up, right? Because there's that theory or principle that 80% of your profits come from 20% of your products, right? And so that minute set of products are going to be key to monitor it and make sure they're progressing forward.
Yeah, and that you'll also see that it's an adjustment. So sometimes you see, it's like sort of like economics. Like you see the buy box go up a bit and your profit margin go down a bit. And so what SellerSnap's doing is finding you that optimum place where you're getting the sales at the buy box share that you deserve and the profit margin that you deserve. And it finds that equilibrium. And so as a whole, when you look at your whole store, your whole business, you see really big growth. And then on a listing by listing level, you see an optimization.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me. I appreciate the time. Sellersnap.io.
So yeah, sellersnap.io.
Awesome. Well, everyone go check out Sellersnap, get a free trial, and we'll have more videos of this kind of nature. We'll do a demo in the next couple of weeks, and we'll keep you guys updated.
Cool. Thanks, Gary, man. I was glad to be here.